everybody, my name's Kate and I'm here with Relative Motion, and we have Allie here today, and she's also going to be working with us showing some of the things for this week's series. So this week we are working on the pelvic series, and we're going to be talking specifically about eliminating the tilt. So that's the tilt of the pelvis where the pelvis is dropping forward. So Allie's going to show us some of these positions real quickly, just so we can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. So go ahead and face the side for me. She's going to go into a position where she would be like in a preparation for a pirouette. Correctly, right? So we see that everything is stacked very nicely. Her shoulders are over her hips. The mesh panel here is going straight down to the side, and you can see the alignment of all those other panels very clearly. Now, in some circumstances, dancers will tilt their pelvis anteriorly. So that's when they drop it forward and the back kind of sways and arches, as she's showing us here, right? In these positions, we're putting a lot of pressure on the low back. You see that this black panel is no longer parallel to the floor, it's on an angle, okay? So that's a very telltale sign of looking at the apparel that you can see that this position is incorrect. And in this position, of course, you're gonna have a really tight low back. The pelvis is tilting forward, so it's creating a lot of tightness in the areas that you're gonna wanna create length, okay? So we're gonna work through some things today to help prevent this. So go into that prep one more time, sort of incorrectly, Allie, where you're tilted. And then pull to a passe for us. And you can see when she goes to that passe how she's kind of back, right? And when we're tilting in these positions, more often than not, you might also see that this passe starts to kind of dip forward because the dancer is arched, and then over time that knee might pull you forward out of your pirouette. Okay, so go ahead and go back into a correct prep, right? And we see in that stable position now how things are much more better aligned. And as we go through this series for the pelvis, you'll see that this is gonna help you getting into those pirouettes and getting into those turns. Another thing we're going to talk about is pressing into jumps, okay? So equally as we go into pirouettes, we're going to prepare to go into a jump. So if we were going into like a run for a leap, Allie, go ahead and show us that position again. And you can kind of go on more of an angle, right? So say she was going to like run or chasse into a jump. If she's arching through her back here, right, we're going to have an issue of using the power in the legs to push off the floor and get a lot of height in the jump. We're also going to be putting a lot of strain on the low back. More often than not, the dancers are going to be kind of arched in that leap, and then a lot of things start to happen down, a trickle effect, domino effect from that position. So go ahead and go into that prep, right, and the back's arched. So internally, she starts to kind of rotate from her hips. Everything is sinking down and inward. It's hard for the dancer to rotate those legs in a leap. The pelvis is dropped, the back is arched, there's a lot of strain on the low back. So these are all things that we want to kind of work against, obviously, but these are little markers that you can see in your dancers that if you notice that they maybe are arching in their back while they're doing a leap, that this might be coming from a place of their pelvis, not necessarily something else, okay? And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is through rotation and extensions. And more often than not, I see the pelvis start to tip forward when dancers are going into like Alice-a-Cone, right? So whether they're coming from like a forward position and rond-de-jambing to Alice-a-Cone, and even in like an Alice-a-Cone turn, right? We see a lot of dancers where they get that leg up to the side and it's not turned out. So Allie, go ahead and show us the correct Alice-a-Cone first with the leg up to the side, right? You see this clear position here. Everything is rotated. You see that blue panel coming forward. Nice extension through her legs. Now go ahead and rotate that knee forward, right? We see that this hikes up here in the hip. The black panel is no longer even. We've lost this blue panel completely. This is completely parallel, right? There is no longer that position that we want rotated. So we're gonna pull from underneath and find that correct position again, pushing this mesh panel back, okay? Also when she goes forward, do it one more time. Everything is tilting, okay? And it's very common for the dancer to lose the rotation on the supporting leg because it's hard to match it on this leg as well. So that's something that might also happen. Go ahead and relax. So we're going to be talking about those three things: the preparations into the pirouettes and how the pelvic placement dropping forward will affect turns, the placement and the preparation into jumps, and how losing the pelvic stability is going to affect how high they jump, how well they jump, and how safely they jump, and then the position of the legs rotating into Alice-a-Cone, whether it be a turn or just some kind of developé in general, that the legs in an Alice-a-Cone position, and how we can really maintain turnout, find those blue panels coming forward, and find the rotation from the glutes. All right, thank you so much. So go ahead and tune in for this series. We're gonna have 3 different weeks that we tap into different exercises that we work on to perfect and work through all of those elements.